2 a.m. dead quiet. Texas night. I'm sleeping in my grandfather's canvas tent by our family's spring-fed lake when suddenly, whoomp, 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 a police helicopter's rotor blades shatter the silence. Spotlight hits me like a prison break. 3 squad cars scream down my dirt road, red and blue lights bouncing off the water. I stumble out in boxer shorts, hands up squinting against that blinding beam. The metallic taste of adrenaline floods my mouth. "Sir, you're trespassing on private HOA property," the lead officer shouts. "Officer," I say, still half asleep. "This is my land, check your coordinates." 50 yards away, HOA President Delilah sits in her golf cart filming everything, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the steering wheel. She's practically glowing with satisfaction. Here's the kicker. They had no idea they'd been trespassing on my property for 2 years. What would you do if neighbors called? SWAT on you for camping on your own land. Drop a comment from wherever you're watching. Your HOA nightmares probably top this insanity. My name is Garrett, and 8 months ago, I inherited 40 acres of Texas ranch land from my grandfather, including a gorgeous 3-acre spring-fed lake that's been in our family since 1940. I'm 47, work as an industrial electrician, and my recent divorce left me struggling to pay those hefty property taxes while working 60-hour weeks. But this place is worth every penny of sacrifice, especially that lake where morning mist rolls off the water like silk, and you can smell cedar and mosquito, mixing with the earthy scent of cattle from neighboring pastures. Granddad had an open-door policy here. Local families fished and swam for free, making him a legend in Millbrook County. The original survey stakes are still visible, rusted but readable marking boundaries unchanged for 80 years. Then suburban sprawl hit our quiet corner like a plague, and everything changed when Lakeshore Estates sprouted up 2 years ago. A fancy development that brought with it the most dangerous species known to rural Texas. An HOA president named Delilah Thornfield. This 52-year-old woman drives everywhere in a spotless white BMW SUV. And you can smell her overpowering lavender perfume. Before you see her, the sharp click, click-click of her designer heels on pavement announces her arrival. Like death approaching, and she carries herself with the condescending smile of someone who's never been told no in her life. Delilah used to be on city council until she lost re-election amid rumors that folks still whisper about at Ruby's Diner. And now she runs this HOA like her personal kingdom. After a particularly brutal week rewiring an industrial plant, my hands cut up from cable work, my back screaming from crawling through tight spaces, I decided to do what Granddad always did when life got heavy. I grabbed his old canvas tent and headed to the lake for some peace. That first night was pure magic. The campfire crackled and popped. My instant coffee tasted like heaven from Granddad's dented metal cup, and for the first time in months, I could hear myself think over the gentle lapping of water against the shore. Dawn brought the rumble of approaching engines and dust clouds billowing behind Delilah's BMW as she led a convoy down my dirt road. She climbed out with 2 nervous HOA board members, waving official-looking papers like she was serving a federal warrant. "This lake belongs to our residents now, sir," she announced, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against her clipboard with the rhythm of a machine gun. "This water feature is community property, according to our HOA covenants, and you're trespassing." The woman actually called my grandfather's lake a water feature, like it was some decorative fountain in a strip mall. I stood up slowly, still holding my coffee cup, feeling the morning heat already starting to build. "Ma'am, my family's owned this land since before. Your subdivision was a cow pasture." "Not according to our easement rights," she snapped, thrusting those papers closer to my face. The smell of her perfume, mixed with the dust she'd kicked up, made my eyes water. "You have until sunset to remove your illegal camping equipment, or we're calling law enforcement." Standing there, watching her heels click back toward that pristine BMW, I felt the bitter taste of dust settling in my mouth as I reluctantly started breaking down Granddad's tent. The truth hit me like a sledgehammer. I'd never actually reviewed all of his property papers thoroughly, just signed the inheritance documents and started paying taxes. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was underestimating just how far a desperate woman with a law degree and too much time on her hands would go to steal what wasn't hers. But Delilah had made one crucial error herself. She assumed I'd roll over and play dead, like every other person she'd bullied in her life. 1 week later, I drove back to the lake expecting another peaceful camping trip, but what greeted me made my stomach drop like a broken elevator. An 8-foot chain-link fence stretched across my lake access, gleaming in the afternoon sun like a steel middle finger pointed directly at my family's legacy. Security cameras perched on fresh concrete posts like mechanical vultures, and bright yellow signs screamed, "No trespassing." Lakeshore Estates property in letters bold enough to read from space. The metallic clang when I shook that locked gate echoed across the water, mixing with the smell of still-curing concrete and my rising fury. These people had actually fenced off my grandfather's lake while I was pulling a 60-hour work week, then slapped their name on it like conquistadors planting a flag. Standing there, listening to water lap against the shore just 20 feet away. Now separated from me by galvanized steel and pure audacity, I realized this wasn't just about property anymore. This was war. I drove straight to the county courthouse, my hands still shaking with anger, where I met Dolores, a 70-something clerk, who'd known my grandfather since the Eisenhower administration. "Your granddaddy was good people," she said, her weathered fingers pulling dusty files that smelled like old paper. "In decades of bureaucratic battles. Something ain't right about this fence business." 2 hours later, we struck gold. Delilah's HOA had filed an adverse possession claim 18 months ago, essentially trying to steal my land through legal paperwork. Here's a knowledge nugget every property owner needs tattooed on their brain. Adverse possession in Texas requires 10-plus years of continuous, open occupation before you can legally claim someone else's land. The HOA's claim was premature by about 8 years, making their fancy fence nothing more than expensive criminal trespassing equipment. The takeaway: always verify the legal basis for any neighbor's property claims before you let them intimidate you. Using divorce settlement money that was supposed to buy me a new truck, I hired Marcus Webb, a property attorney, who looked like he bench-pressed law books and had the kind of reputation that made opposing counsel break out in stress sweats. Marcus reviewed the survey documents and discovered something beautiful. Their fence extended 15 feet onto my surveyed property, meaning they weren't just blocking my access, they were literally stealing my dirt while calling me the trespasser. Marcus filed a temporary restraining order so fast it left skid marks on the courthouse steps, and watching the sheriff serve those papers to Delilah was worth every penny of legal fees. Her perfectly composed mask slipped for exactly 3 seconds, revealing the cornered animal underneath. All that suburban sophistication. But cornered animals bite back harder. At the next HOA meeting, Delilah launched a character assassination campaign that would make a political operative proud, spreading rumors about me being unstable and dangerous. She claimed I'd threatened her during our lakeside encounter. Complete fiction. But lies travel at light speed through subdivision gossip networks. I could practically hear the whispers spreading through phone calls and mailbox conversations, each retelling adding another layer of manufactured drama. My security camera captured something even more interesting. Late-night visits from golf cart commandos, measuring and photographing the fence line like they were planning some suburban black ops mission. The plot thickened when I discovered the fence contractor was Delilah's brother-in-law's company, because nothing says legitimate business transaction like keeping the corruption in the family. Then came the knockout punch. I requested building permit records for their fence construction, and guess what? They'd never filed permits with the county, making their 8-foot monument to property theft completely illegal. From day one, you can't just erect structures without proper permits. Even if you're an HOA president with delusions of grandeur and a law degree from the University of Pinterest, legal advice. Marcus filed additional complaints about unpermitted construction, and suddenly, Delilah's perfect little fence project became a ticking time bomb. The county building inspector scheduled a visit, and I could taste the sweet irony in the Texas heat. These people had tried to fence me out using illegal construction methods while calling me the lawbreaker, but this victory felt hollow because I knew it was just round one. Bullies don't retreat when their first punch gets blocked. They escalate like fire spreading through dry grass. Delilah had thrown her opening shot with that fence, and I'd countered with legal paperwork that hit harder than a sledgehammer. Now she was angry, embarrassed, and desperate, which made her infinitely more dangerous than when she was just arrogant. The smell of fresh concrete from her illegal fence posts would soon be replaced by the acrid scent of her plans crumbling. But first, she had several more weapons in her arsenal of suburban warfare. 3 weeks after the fence fiasco, Delilah struck back with surgical precision. She filed a complaint with the state environmental agency, claiming I was polluting the pristine lake water with illegal camping activities, alleging everything from septic violations to chemical contamination. The woman had weaponized environmental protection laws like a suburban eco-terrorist. And sitting in Marcus's office reading her complaint, I remembered what he'd told me during our first meeting. When people file false reports with government agencies, they're committing felonies called filing false.